Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to Dumb SEO Questions, episode 334. Each week we meet here to answer the questions asked on the Dumb SEO Questions Facebook group. With us today we have David Rosam. David is a leading internet marketer based in West Sussex, on the southern border of the UK. You can find David at davidrosam.com. Tim Capper is CEO of onlineownership.com. He's also a Google product expert on the Google My Business community. You can find Tim at onlineownership.com. He's based in Corby, about 100 miles north of London. All right, we've got 11 questions tonight, and let me see the first one. It's titled Some Questions About Internal Linking. It's from Michelle Korn, who asks, or says, hi all. So I can't remember what this is called, where you put links at the bottom of your articles to other articles on your site. I guess that's internal linking or something. So a few questions. How many need to be at the bottom for search engine optimization? 2, some people would think they need to click on the next link as it's leading them there. So how do you avoid that if it's for SEO only? 3, do you put them before or after the closing company name? And 4, do the linked articles need to be relevant to the first article, or that doesn't really matter? I think that's about it for now, unless you can think of anything else I missed. Thanks a ton.
Yeah. Okay. So internal linking. So internal linking is typically within the article. If you've got something mentioning something that you've got an article that's more in-depth or detailed about it, you can link within the article to that. Or on a page on your site, if you've got a reference article that will help a user if they want to find more information on that particular topic. The ones at the bottom of an article, are typically you've got two sets. So a lot of blog themes will give you the most recent, typically the most recent 5 published, and then related to that particular article you published. Some of them use different ways. The more simple ones just use a particular keyword. If you've used a keyword in the title, then it will use it. Some of them will work by tags, or some of them will actually have a rough understanding of what the article is about, and then add the different relevant ones. If you're manually adding these, I would probably look at something with relevance. It's relevant topical wise or category wise to those articles. That would make sense to the user reading that if they wanted a bit more information around it. You can still interlink in your article, because you might not actually be linking to something that was a related article that you've referenced later on in the bottom. Typically, you go with about 5, but sometimes, if you've only written one thing on, let's say you've done an update on, I don't know, haunted castles, and you've got 3 other articles on site, one about the architecture of castles, that can be, and typically your related is actually the whole title of the article linked to the article. It's not a keyword linking it. That would be for your inside your article. And And if you had 3, you've got 3. But, I wouldn't go typically over 5 because, it can be a bit ridiculous if you're listing 47 more articles there. It's just, it's nonsensical, But yeah, you can do it manually. You can do it by different plugins, depending on what CMS you're using. But internal linking is essentially linking within that article from a keyword. Relevant or related articles is literally the entire title that links to that article.
Thank you, Tim.
I'm a bit concerned about what Michelle is trying to do here. These links are to help people. They're to give them a better experience. They're going to help that person find some more relevant information on the site without missing it. It's not part of a structure that's done because somehow it will help SEO. So the relevant links, if they're relevant, make them then put them there. If they're not relevant, don't put 10 there because you think it will give you twice as much SEO as putting 5 there. And there is a real gotcha in the related sites links in WordPress. Most of the plugins that do that for you really give the site a speed hit. I can't remember the very, very popular one. It basically really gives your site a speed hit. In the past, that wasn't too bad a problem if you're happy for your users to wait around. But of recent years, Google's been very keen that we have fast sites, and that's I'm all up for that. But be careful with plugins. If you go down the plugin route and don't do these links manually, make sure that you check what it's doing to the responsiveness of the site. Otherwise, everything that Tim said and more.
I see we've just been joined by Micah Fisher. Micah is based on the west coast of the USA. He's president of an SEO meetup group.
Which we're having today.
It's on today, then, Micah?
Yeah, we're having a meetup today, even.
We'll have to pop in, David.
Yes, let me get on my rocket. Hey, the hat! I wish I had my hat. My hat downstairs. I joined in. It's hat day.
Yeah.
You look as if you could do with some lederhosen to go with it, though.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Okay. Well, look, we'll move on from question 1 and go to the next on our run list. But before I do, I just want to point out people like Stockbridge Truslow and Michael Martinez, who do such a wonderful job answering questions on our Dumb SEO Questions Facebook group through the week. All right. Number 2 on our run list is titled Using Content to Rank Products. It's from Ashley Lewis. Ashley said, anyone know what would be best? I have a Magento store with a blog extension. I use the blog to show off recipes and product ideas to my customers. We are making changes to our website and I'm faced with having to make a decision. Should I move the blog to WordPress and integrate it using Fishpig? I don't know what Fishpig is. Should I let the blog live as a standalone on WordPress, or use a different Magento blog extension so that the blog lives on Magento? What's the best practice for using my content to rank products? Magento and Fishpig are limited on what you can do with the blog. No recipe card or recipe print capabilities.
Yeah, I'm actually unfamiliar with how Magento works to be able to give an effective answer on this one.
Michael Martinez has, in his response, covered that for you, Micah. It's on the screen now.
I have a certain level of confusion about this as well. Why does Ashley want to move the thing to a different platform in the first place?
Good point.
Didn't she say just the blog?
Well, I've got a blog. Got a blog on the blog extension.
Yeah, but have you ever have you ever added tried to add an article with the out of the box Magento?
Oh, Magento is nasty. Yes. Yeah.
So I think what she's looking for is the ease of use of WordPress blogging platform to publish the articles.
Ah, maybe.
I've known plenty of sites that have integrated. So the main site is run on Woo, but then when you click onto blog, we're still within the actual site, but it's actually powered by the CMS is powered by WordPress.
Yeah, usually having like a separate CMS, one for the blog and one for the main site, that's not the it's not problematic on its own, as long as you're kind of aware of what you're doing. But the main concerns usually for me is like whether or not the blog is fully separate, you're not properly linking to it, is it on a separate domain, subdomain versus the main site. Those are kind of usually the key starting points. Having it on a separate CMS, you just got to be careful kind of like moving things over and that the architecture is roughly the same. That's kind of, obviously case dependent on what the setup is and what you can do within, in this case, the e-commerce platform, and moving it over to WordPress. So unfortunately, I'm just not as familiar with the Magento setup to give kind of a little more specific recommendations on that.
I forgot to mention when you joined us, Micah, that you're the director of SEO for Turn River Capital in the US.
Yeah, I kind of cut in on that, so.
Okay. I love some of Michael Martinez's answers. All right. Yes. Ashley Lewis could do worse than read and reread Michael's responses on this one. I think it's great. All right, let's go to the next. Number 3 on our run list from JLo. It's titled Deciding Which Schema to Add. He said, about schema markups which are not listed in the Google Developers Guide. He said, hi everyone. I was wondering how do you decide if you should add schema code properly and attributes that are not listed in the Google Developer Guide to avoid wasted effort. According to the Google Developers Guide, it said, and he gives a link which can be read on the Dumb SEO Questions Facebook group. He said most search structured data uses schema.org vocabulary, but you should rely on the documentation on developers.google.com as definitive for Google search behavior rather than the schema.org documentation. However, in another section of the guide, they encourage using extra schema code, like this page said. The knowledge graph can potentially ingest data using any schema.org elements, even those not described in this documentation. Personally, I do experience a lot of instances where Google extracts my schema code, which are not listed in the development guide, and use it for a rich result. The answer is, how do you decide which code to add? Since I put all that code which are applicable, it's sometimes kind of time consuming. Let me know your thoughts or experience. Thanks.
Now, I'm desperately trying to go through my brain at the moment. Sometime recently, I read or heard John Mueller say, John Mueller of Google, say that Google can understand all of schema.org. The implication of that, if that is correct, is that you should try to dig through and understand schema.org to find the very best thing to fit what you're doing. I suspect that some of that developer guide material might just have fallen by the wayside. There's just so much of the stuff. I'm sure Google can't keep all of it up to date, and that's possibly why there's the contradiction. I've been personally following the advice that that Google is happy to understand schema.org as long as it's set up properly, and you use the right schema for what you're doing. But Micah may well have some more learned views about it.
Not too particularly on learning. For me, it's more I come down the side of unless it gives a specific visual bonus on the search results, I don't spend time dealing with schema, and like to me, it's a waste of time otherwise. Now, the exception to that, going to the knowledge graph, I think trying to generate a new knowledge graph is a bit of an effort that might not be the most productive. Optimizing for ones that are already there is a different story. I actually haven't really seen many of which I've focused on, to be honest, on that side of it, to be able to say, hey, if you already have it, then try for these. It generally comes down kind of on the line of it's unless there's a specific visual benefit, I don't usually recommend spending too much time on it. Most of the knowledge graphs you get are going to be results that are higher up in the funnel, and they might be more like answer focused than they are to generate traffic and kind of the awareness that you're seeking, unless it's directly geared to your brand, and that's a different, and then that's a different story. So on the whole, it's basically me saying it's not worth it unless you're going to get something on your web result, unless you've got some really nice knowledge graph stuff. Obvious exceptions, I think, is if you can, the knowledge graph is showcasing competitors in there, and basically linking to the competitor results for like specific terms, then yeah, go for something like that where you can figure out how to get into that. But generally, don't go too far into the weeds of adding in schema at this point. That would be my view.
Thank you, Micah. All right, we'll move on from this one. I just like to, before we go, point out again Michael Martinez's excellent answers and wisdom. All right, let us go to number 4 on our run list. It's titled Other People's Articles or Mine, from Michelle Korn, who said, I tried to hire a writer to write up short educational tips about the different services I offer, and then put in a call to action at the end to one of my pages. From a branding SM or trust perspective, SM, I can't think of what that acronym means. But Michelle asks, which do you think is better? Your own articles for educational memes or someone else's articles with a few of your own? Thanks.
I think it's sadism and masochism, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I would.
Okay.
I wouldn't publish someone else's. If you come across a great article that you wish you had done for your site, I would get a writer, if you don't have one in-house or something like that, to then put your brand's perspective onto the idea or theme of that article, or what, whether you are adding to the article, making it more in depth, whether you're branding it from the point of you do the product, but you do it slightly differently with, let's say, different safety mechanisms on something, or whatever the case may be. But I would always try and prefer and create your own content rather than putting someone else's article there, and then because you should attribute it, you canonicalize it. Also, you should also be asking them permission if you can republish it. That can take time. From my perspective, I'd rather be publishing my own stuff, creating that brand as its own, develop its own readership. I certainly wouldn't publish others.
I think Michelle is not talking about borrowing material from elsewhere. She says hiring a writer to write up short educational tips. But I think that there is a question here of branding, isn't there? If it's your own website, I think for davidrosen.com, I wouldn't want other people writing on it generally, because I want my David Rosen brand to benefit from it. But there's nothing wrong with getting someone to write. You could get someone to ghostwrite if you're really pushed for time. Get someone to ghostwrite. if you're happy with what they say.
Talking about ghostwriting, just one thing, Michelle, you're obviously reading a lot of SEO kind of stuff. Just to let you know that some of the largest SEO brands online actually employ ghostwriters. They don't publish themselves. So just so you're aware.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole part of the advertising and marketing industry called copywriting, which has nothing to do with copying. It's about writing content, not just for websites. Generally, the bigger the organization, the more likely the content will be written by a specialist, and that specialist is quite likely to be external to them. So yeah, there's not a problem in who actually writes the stuff. It's how it interacts with your own the perception of you if it's your website. But then again, you know, if someone could write as well as me, and I could afford them, I'd be very happy having them writing for me. I don't have any problems, but yeah, Google cannot say, okay, that style is a bit different from your usual style. I think someone else has written it. You know, hire a writer, get them to do some good original material. If you can do that, that's brilliant. Go and get some more clients, or build some more web pages or something. I don't know, but you know, or maybe go out and walk the dog, or go out for dinner or something. Make use of the time. But yeah, there's no downside, provided that content is good.
Thank you, David, and thank you, Tim, and thank you, Micah. All right, let's move on to the next. Ahmed Ibrahim asked a question titled "Addresses in a Google My Business listing." Ahmed said, "Hey guys, what are the advantages and disadvantages of using a service area citywide over an exact address in Google My Business listings?"
So, yeah, look, it varies, and both have their advantages and both have the disadvantages. Your advantage with actually having a physical location is that, you know, essentially anybody searching on mobile or on desktop within a given location, being that location, Google tends to display these ones location based first. For, you know, I don't know, dentist, you know, plumber, whatever, because that's his location. These are where the searchers are searching from. Right, I know the ones you know exactly where you are. If you're trying to cover, you know, if you're using a service base, you're typically a service area business, and you know, if you're a dentist, Google's going to be like, what? You're a service area dentist? Huh? How do you visit people? You know, Google understands the difference between what a service area business is and what a location-based business is. But if you're a plumber or electrician, 99% of the businesses that you will, when you create a search in a location, it will all show service area businesses that have set their location that they serve as that particular location. So, you know, once you understand the two different things, you know, you're going to understand that, you know, it's sort of the two different things. But equally, it doesn't really make a a difference. Okay, obviously, if you're a dentist and a service, that is a big problem. If you're going to go, yeah, I'm a dentist and I use a service area business. But if you are in between something like, for example, myself, SEO, online marketing, yeah, people can come to me, but I can literally serve people anyway. And running the two things, when you build up a brand and that Google knows that you are that specific brand, what you offer, and they, pretty much 100% certain of who you are, what you offer. It's
My apologies, I don't understand.
It's irrelevant whether I have switched between offering just a service area business. I still rank the same for the same queries, the same locations, as when I've turned that off on my GMB and just had my address. It doesn't make a difference. So there are kind of exceptions, and there are obviously logical exceptions. I think you need to understand what your business does and who it's serving.
Thank you, Tim. I think we can call that one covered. Let's move on to the next. Sean Clark asked the question. It's titled "Copying a Site to a New Domain." He said, I copied our site at molino-glass.com to a new domain at molinoglass.com, no hyphen. The old domain is redirected by htaccess to the new domain. What should I have done, or what should I do to ensure our SEO isn't screwed up? Thanks.
You want to make sure that you're not redirecting everything to the homepage. So you want to make sure you're doing a one-to-one mapping with a 301 redirect. And by one-to-one mapping, every individual URL that had the dash in the domain name plus whatever URL string matches to the new one with the same URL string. You want to make sure you've redirected everything that you plan to generally. And if you are a larger site, then no. If you're a smaller site, then you should generally, generally you should be fine. Kind of with that. I mean, in of itself, that should be mostly fairly sufficient. You could go, of course, in Google Search Console and let them know that you've have moved the domain over, just so you've solidified that information to Google. And then lastly, at some point, depending on effort and necessarily the work that you feel like is needed to be involved, is letting other people who've linked to you in the past, and letting them know that the URL has changed. I don't know how likely that they were willing to do so, given it's just a dash change, but that's something that can at least help kind of cover all your bases when it comes to the value you've built up on the older domain.
Thank you, Micah. I think we can call that one covered. Let's move on to the next no run list. It's number 7. From Scott Clark, it's titled International SEO Question. He said, here are some results from a French page for a client I'm auditing. This is the home page, but all internal pages have a similar discontinuity. Furthermore, other language/regions have similar issues. Have I found a big issue, or is this just sloppy and harmless? On the French site, hreflang tags none, HTML language attribute English, content language meta HTTP equivalent none identified, and content language HTTP header English. Goodness me. I see Dave Elliott has responded. Dave works for a large agency in the UK, and you can generally take what he says to the bank. I like his second comment. He's when Scott Clark says the site exists in many more languages as subfolders on a single global domain, and Dave said that then the lack of hreflang is criminal. Richard Hearn has chipped in on this conversation too. Looks like everybody is taking a call, and I'm the only one left. Let's move on to number 8 on our run list. That's from WebMo. It's titled Inconsistent Search Engine Results Page Position. He said, my site is in the field of web services. It's 2 months that, despite the strong link and link building content, my website has a rating of 50 to the top. I don't know what that means. He said it's often not in the results list, and sometimes it's on Google's 5th page. Despite the implementation of SEO, the results do not change. What's the problem?
It's implementing SEO and having strong link building content. I suspect that Webmo has been doing old-fashioned link building from all sorts of rubbishy places, and Google has ignored it. Shall we say it's being good, and has ignored it. Create a good website with great content. Don't play SEO games.
Thank you, David, and also I think Richard Hearn, who has answered some great questions this week.
Yeah, and SEO is not just based on the backlink side of things only. How's the on-site optimization been doing you relevant to the content and providing quality information? Those things play a part in how you rank. And if your site's not functionally visible, not functionally working, not fast enough, all the things kind of together can also play an impact for why you don't rank.
Thank you, Micah. All right. Have we covered this one, or should I wait for someone to chip in? Okay, let's go to the next. Pim Sandra asks a question, I should say. Question 9 on our run list, switching from Wix to WordPress. And she asks, does it matter to SEO if I change from Wix to WordPress?
Well, you'll have more flexibility, more options. Most SEOs will thank you. And probably not mock the fact that mock Wix all the time. But yeah, it should help. It might not. You might not see a direct impact right away, but you got to get everything set up properly, making sure you're leveraging kind of the right settings. But you know, the setup and structure for WordPress is one of the more SEO friendly CMSs. So you're putting in the foundation properly, and making sure that you leverage that foundation as a result will help your SEO in the long run.
Thank you, Micah.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's it. You can get somewhere with Wix, but if you really need to be serious about your online marketing, then WordPress will give you the opportunity to leverage more things more effectively. So it depends where you are. If you're really stuck and it's down with your marketing, and you're finding that you can't do things that you think you should be doing with Wix, or an expert who you trust is saying you're being blocked because Wix is doing this, or you can't do that in Wix, then it's the time to move on. So yes, I think the simple answer is move to WordPress, because your SEO will be your SEO potential will be better.
Yep. I don't know what Robin Hewitt is on, but her response to this question was Roxanol. I imagine Roxanol is some sort of drug. Anyway, let's go to the next. Number 10 on our run list from Jaya Sankar Jaya Krishnan, titled Google Local Packs for a keyword. Jaya Sankar said, hi everyone, is there any way to make the Google local packs to appear for a keyword? My concerned keyword at the moment doesn't have a local pack, even with the location included. Is there any way to have a new local pack? For example, is there anything on the Google My Business side to achieve this?
So firstly, no, there's nothing that you can do to achieve this. 2, why do you want a local pack showing which will show 2 more competitors? Yeah, that you just simply don't want that. You don't want 2 more competitors in a search result. So build up your brand, build up your authority, your brand and business known for the service it provides, and you can achieve a 1 pack, which is the search results and then your knowledge panel appearing. So do that rather than try and put 2 more competitors into a search result page. You don't want that. So this is actually an opportunity you've got to brand yourself and put yourself for that area, known specifically as you know, when people are searching, that's what they're searching for you as your business, because that is what you provide. And when somebody searches for that service in that area, you get a 1 pack rather than a local pack, which shows 2 more competitors.
Yes, thank you, Tim. That's really good. Yeah. All right. Let me move on to our last question for the night. It's from Nazman Naha, or Nazman. 2 identical sites with the same content. Nazman said, hey everyone, someone copied our website and pasted it on a new domain. It looks like someone crawled static files from the site and put a site up. No idea what would be the reason behind this. I believe someone wants to hurt us, but not sure how this new website can hurt our website. Do you have any idea?
I mean, I think it just comes down to how new is the site, your site, how new is theirs in turn, of course. But, you know, are you certain that it's somebody else versus accidentally a dev server? Them actually using that as the test server or whatever that they've accidentally exposed to the web. So first, you know, you may want to make sure about that. But if all of your branding and everything is there, you could probably DMCA it. If you're in the US, you can basically get that taken down because they're copying kind of your stuff. But generally, if your site's got a lot of hold of the site and knows what your site's about, and you've got a lot of authority in the space, it's not the worst. Like, it's not harmful. But yeah, I would still try to deal with it. I noticed in one of the comments it said there was some malware, so there might be some issues there. You want to make sure you're not accidentally linking to the said site in turn. See if they're actually doing some nefarious stuff on that. Yeah, and you can put kind of the concerns over to Google as well if that's as an issue too.
Thank you, Micah. All right. Yeah, this one, I must say, Nazmun, the issue of malware on the duplicate site complicates things. Yeah. All right, let's move on. I think we're at that point. Yes, it's thank you for watching time. I'd like to thank Michael Martinez and Stockbridge Trustlow, Richard Hearn, Chris Boggs, all of the people and all of the other people who answer questions on our Dumb SEO Questions Facebook group through the week. And also the contributions from Tim Capper, David Razam, and Micah Fisher-Kirshner are gratefully, we're all very grateful. All right, we'll be back at the same time next week to do this all again. But for now, it's good night and thank you very much.